guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing my June wrap-up and my currently readings, which will probably be in my July wrap-up if I finish them successfully. So in June, I read a total of 4 books, and I was going through those 4 books and I realized that all of them are really different from each other, which made me happy because I didn't have an overweight of any specific genre, which made me feel good and well-rounded and cultural. Anyway, let's get started with this wrap-up, shall we? So the first book that I think I actually did finish was The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks. I gave it 2 stars. Ugh. I don't know why I do this stuff to myself. I don't know why. So I remember this movie with Miley Cyrus, and I remember I did not love it. I mean, I'm not a romance person. Like I don't really read romance books, and I don't really watch romantic movies. Like one here and there is fine, and watching or reading or watching a show that has a romance involved throughout the story is fine, but if the romance is the forefront of the story, I'm like, nah, I'll pass. But the thing about The Last Song is that I remember watching the movie and I remember not loving the movie itself, but just loving the aspect of the father-daughter relationship, that family dynamic. I loved it and I cried, and it had nothing to do with the romance. It was all about the daughter and dad relationship, and I loved it so much. And if you watched the video that I uploaded a couple of weeks ago about my star rating, I talked about my stars and how I rate books, and I remember saying that sometimes I gave certain books 2 stars when I don't like them, but I still like to kind of poke fun at them, and this book was one of them. I think I puked in my mouth a couple of times. It was so corny and cheesy. Ugh. I don't think I have to explain much about what this book is really about, but the really high overview is that this girl who is supposed to be a good girl gets rebellious after like her parents divorce or something, and then she is forced to spend the summer with her dad and her brother at this beach house type of thing. And there she meets this guy and they fall in love and stuff happens, and then you got stuff going on with the dad, and mysteries are revealed. Not like, ooh, mysteries, but just like, mysteries. Again, there's not much to it, but I read it because I wanted to get the full feel of that father-daughter relationship, and I did not get that until maybe the last third of the book, because most of the beginning revolves around her and her boyfriend. I don't know why I put myself through that. If romance is your thing, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more than I did. I'm not gonna lie, it was still really cheesy. Not my thing. I think I would have loved this book when I was like 15 or 16. I think at that age I would have loved it. And now I'm 25 and I'm just like, no, just stop. Don't do that. No. Oh, okay, cringe. I think that's all I have to say about this book. The second book that I wrapped up the last month is The Girl in the Train by Paula Hawkins. I actually started this book about like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe, and I read up to like the halfway point, and then I got distracted by another book, I want to say, and I just left it there. But I do remember enjoying it. I remember really liking the book and the storyline and where it was going. But again, for some reason, it took just like the back burner of my reading life. But it was picked out last month for our book club. So I just picked it back up from where I left, which was a little over like the halfway point. And for some reason, I actually remember everything that happened throughout the first half, even though it's been that long. And so I did not get lost anywhere throughout the story. But I actually overall really enjoyed my experience of the book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a good book. It was a good story. However, when we were discussing the book and the book club, I talked about how it kind of didn't meet my expectations, but because I was expecting this book to totally blow my mind with a plot twist, but I saw the plot twist coming. I think the big plot twist was supposed to come in like way later, and you were supposed to be totally shocked about it, but I wasn't. I was not. I was just like, well, I guess, yeah, it makes sense. I did think about it. It was a good story. It was just, it just didn't meet my expectations, but it was overall a good experience for me. Also, I will not say anything else about this book because I think most of everybody has read it or has watched the movie. And if you haven't, all you need to know really is that there is a girl traveling in a train in London, and she has a alcohol problem, and she sees things and another girl disappears and she's trying to figure it out. That's all I'm gonna say, because that's all you need to know to get into this book. So the third book that I wanted to wrap up for the month of June is The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. This is a poetry collection. I think that if you're watching this video, you probably heard of this book because it's been everywhere. I think last month I wrapped up Coffee Black by Jamaica West, and I talked about how much I enjoyed that poetry collection. After that, I decided that I wanted to get a little more into more poetry, and I picked this book up. One time I went on a Barnes & Noble walkthrough, and I picked it up and I bought it, and I regret nothing. It was so great. I took a whole month to read this because I wanted to take it slowly, and it was absolutely beautiful. Guys, this book it made me feel things. Like it made me feel things, and it was so amazing and such a great experience. Of course, I did love some poems more than I loved others, but overall it was highly satisfactory. I loved it, especially like I think the middle part. It sounds like she's talking about the person she loves. And like I said earlier, I am not really into romance or romantic stories unless there is like high substance to them. And I remember reading that section where it seems like she talks about that special somebody, and it just, oh my goodness, it was beautiful. It was so lovely, and I just, it was great. So I gave this book a 4 on Goodreads, but it's like a 4.5. Again, there were like poems that I liked more than others, but overall an amazing experience. I loved it. And then the last book that I wanted to talk about is a 5-star book for me. And you guys know, if you saw that last video, how much 5 stars I don't give them out easily. And this 5-star went to Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I cannot believe I'm giving a classic a 5. So this officially has become my favorite classic. It's beautiful. I picked it up on a whim, like totally on a whim, and I listened to it on audio, and it was just so great. I literally went through the whole thing in a day. It kept me engaged throughout the whole story, and it was beautiful. And again, this was a love story, but a love story with substance, and it was written so beautiful. The language was great, and just it's so amazing. I can't believe that I'm saying that this book was a classic that is now my favorite classic. I never thought I would be a Bronte person or a Jane Eyre person because everybody talks bad about it. Not bad, but they just say it's boring, but I found it beautiful. So quickly I'm gonna go over this because my camera's already telling me it's overheating. But Jane Eyre is obviously about a girl named Jane, and she is left an orphan after her parents passed, and she has kind of a rough childhood growing up, but as she grows up, she becomes a governess, and she is taken into this household, and she becomes a governess of this girl, where she meets this man. They meet, he is like the owner of the whole place, and he is rich, and she is an orphan, and she doesn't have a lot of things going on for her, but love blossoms, and then they face adversities and like really messed up circumstances, but it was beautiful. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I recommend it. It's so good. Like I said, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I can see this being one of my favorite books in a couple of years still. So those were the books that I read in the month of June. Now, as far as what I'm currently reading, I am currently reading 2 books. I'm audio booking one, and that is All the Light We Cannot See. This is a book that we have picked for the book club. I have just started it. It's a historical fiction, I believe, that goes over World War II. I have not read any summaries or like read any reviews, so I'm going in there completely blind. I'm in the beginning still, and I have no idea what's gonna happen. So that'll be for the book club in a week or 2. And the second book that I am currently reading is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This has had so much hype on YouTube and everywhere I look. Everybody praises this book, and I am probably a third of the book in, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. It lives up to all the reviews I have heard. It's an absolutely beautiful book. The story is captivating. If you haven't heard, this deals with a Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality, and it's just really good fictional commentary on our current social stuff that's happening around our country. So anyway, I look forward to finishing this. I don't think I'm gonna take much longer because it's really good. Anyway, so that is it for my June and what's approaching in my July. So anyway, that is it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time. Bye.